If there is inequality, there will be not huge market. Only 35% of Indian agricultural land, they are having irrigational facilities.
Are we really growing or developing? Again, the question remains same.
The same. Huh?
India, the world's largest democracy, is growing. Yes, we have so many parameters. Since 1991 liberalization, the service sector in India is growing. And we are having the highest population in this world, which creates an amicable atmosphere for the investors. This is Subhrajeet Ganguly. I am welcoming you all to the Knowledge Series podcast of the Heritage Pod, and to discuss this interesting topic, economic growth versus economic development, we have with us Professor Dr. Debashis Mazumdar. Considering the diversity of our country, can you tell us which are the indicators, development indicators, considering this growing Indian economy?
Development indicators is number one, whether inequality in the distribution is falling or not, whether unemployment is falling, whether poverty is falling. And now, from the viewpoint of poverty, I can tell you, traditionally we measure poverty in terms of per capita expenditure or income poverty.
Income poverty, correct.
Now, Amartya Sen and Abhijit Vinayak,
Freedom.
they are thinking in a different way.
Yeah.
They call that capability failure. What is poverty? Capability failure.
What is
that? Then what is capability? Interesting. Capability is the capacity of any individual to convert the characteristics of a commodity into its functionings. For example, you have a mobile phone, iPhone 15. You do not know how to operate it.
Okay.
So you have that gadget,
Correct.
and you do not have the capacity to convert the features of that phone into its functionings. You are incapable. So if you do not have learning, education, if you do not have training facility, if you do not have proper health, you cannot have that capacity to convert the characteristics.
Even if you can afford that device,
yes, even if the government provides the assets,
correct,
and they are not educated, they are not skilled, they are not healthy, they are incapable. Hence, this is capability failure. Poverty is a capability failure. Your failure that you cannot drive the car properly, or even it is most modern car. That is capability. So, India's underdevelopment in terms of capability failure. Okay, and therefore we must address to this problem of education. And do you know what amount of government spending on education? It is less than 6%.
less than 6%. Even I was reading a data that from 2014 to 2024, the education budget was, in 2014, it was somewhere around 0.67% of India's GDP. But in 2024, it is 0.37. Half.
Actually, every education policy, it suggests that it should rise and rise and rise. But still now we cannot reach that target. Even in health, it is 1.28% central government spending of GDP as a percent of GDP.
In health.
You go to Sweden, go to Norway, it is more than 9%. So if you consider that as the vacuum that this created because of inadequate expenditure on the part of the public.
Everything is substantiated by the population. Everybody says that they have less population, so they can allocate. We have the biggest population on this planet. So, I mean,
you must allocate more than.
Yeah.
Why should you depend more on as a private investment? So if you want to fill in this vacuum through private investment, then health expenditure is costly.
Absolutely.
Out of pocket expenditure for health sector is huge. And you will find that when I visited, there was a central government project. They given me this responsibility of taking the health condition in Sundarban. And when I asked one farmer that if your son is very sick, would you at midnight go to the hospital? And the answer was, if that boat charge, because there was an island, is huge, I will not go. See the poverty. Therefore, you must have adequate that expenditure on infrastructure on health at least. At least. So who will protect? Not the private sector, because they are guided by their profit motive. So the government has the responsibility to spend on education, on health, so as to make the people more capable and make India step forward towards development side by side with growth. We are growing, but we must develop.
Oh, that's amazing, sir. So do you really think if we incorporate all this, so we will be able to combat this income inequality what we are having right now?
Yeah. that is again a very important question. Income inequality is growing, no doubt. Now, there must be some steps in the form of our tax system.
Yes.
The corporate tax system must be proper so as to put more as a tax rate on, say, corporate houses. There is say, paradox. Then again, the corporate houses, they invest and they will protest that if the tax is so high, then we should not invest. So government has also its limitations. Even still now, there is no agricultural income tax.
Yes, actually.
So see, if you go to say Haryana, Punjab, there are so many landlords. They have the capacity. They earn huge, and they have converted their income to agricultural income. They have the orchards just to avoid the tax system. So our tax system, tax net should be so say restructured so as to tap those untapped resources from agricultural income. So that should be taxed. I feel so. And you must have wealth tax, which is not there now in India. So there are so many loopholes which are to be plucked.
Even some funny facts and figures are also there. Like if you buy a bike, you have to pay 18% GST. On the other end, if you buy a helicopter, you just have to pay 5% GST. If you buy diamonds, you have to pay 3% GST.
So incentive-wise, see, the incentive, that is actually the crucial question. Which area you must incentivize? That is your objective, your target. Yes, Vikashit Bharat, no doubt. That is a very good idea. We must be self-reliant. But nowadays, in the today's open world, now we are globalized world.
Yes.
So here, Vikashit Bharat doesn't mean that everything you must produce yourself. There's a supply chain now. You do not produce on the basis of your competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
Say one bicycle is being, the spare parts are being produced by Vietnam and then say this Laos and different parts of throughout the globe, and one country, they collects those, assemble those and export it.
Yes.
It has no credit. So the supply chain which is important, and therefore you must have, do you know what contribution India has towards the global export? It has only 1.8% of the global export.
That is because of the manufacturing sector is
Your
struggling.
your export must be, your share should be increased.
Absolutely.
You must earn more. You must expand your market. And do you know that we are growing, but uncertainty is also more? During the pre-reform period after 1991 and the post-1991, you will find that the fluctuations in our GDP, we are much more susceptible to global fluctuations. You must be remembering 2007-8,
The
economic financial crisis.
Yes.
And that crisis affected us. 1997, East Asian crisis affected us.
Absolutely.
And then this COVID crisis affected. So global financial as well as the health crisis, we are much more susceptible to those crises. And therefore, if there is much more, say, fluctuations, there is much more uncertainty. If the growth is uncertain, the foreign direct investment flow will also be falling.
Absolutely.
So if you want to attract the foreign direct investment, then it should be stable.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for such insight. It was really a comprehensive discussions, and we hope to have more such discussions in this knowledge series.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was Professor Dr. Debashis Mazumdar speaking on the topic economic growth versus economic development. For such content, keep listening and watching the Heritage Pod. This is Subhrajeet signing off.